When I think of blue ocean strategy, my understanding is blue ocean is, hey, no one's like went in and like actually why do they call it blue ocean? Like there's no wars yet in that ocean, so it's not like
It's
red
not
with
bloody,
blood.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not bloody. So there's like no competition yet. It's a brand new space and it's like huge opportunity that's very obvious. Whereas a red ocean strategy is like tons of competitors, lots of like battles already fought in that ocean, and people are just fighting to get their little piece of it.
Hmm.
And what we're talking about today is most companies are playing in a red ocean. There isn't really much blue ocean available. So knowing that there are those guardrails, like how do you get how like what's the strategy when you're in a red ocean?
Right. I think this started as a market category kind of thing, but we're talking about it in regards to SEO.
Yeah.
But I think the theory, or my theory, is that like there's very few blue oceans in general, like categorically speaking. And the
Yeah.
way you create blue oceans is either through differentiation. So like Drift comes out with conversational marketing, and they're still selling live chat and chatbot software, but they created a new term for it.
Yeah.
HubSpot created inbound marketing, which was basically social media and blogging, and they kind of wrapped that all up. But those weren't new products. And then I think there's very few actually new innovative products, and those are of course blue oceans. Those may be things, I don't know if this is actually a new thing, but it's definitely a rising thing. But like climate tech software, that seems like a relatively actually blue ocean because it's not something that, at least to my mind, existed about 10, 20 years ago.
Looking at this through the lens of SEO is really interesting to me because I feel like you could be working with a red ocean industry. So there's competition at like the go-to-market space, but as it trickles down to like the search behavior, it's still a blue ocean because the language hasn't yet been adopted, and like the word usage and how people search for things, that's still very much a blue ocean space. So for example, we worked with a tool called Endear a few years ago. They had many competitors, but they were indexing on the term clienteling, which in the search like Google space, people didn't know what they didn't know in terms of like how to look for the solution. So the industry was red ocean as it's defined here, but the SEO strategy, we were definitely working in kind of a bluish ocean space. So it's interesting looking at this, like dialing down to the topic of SEO, because it also plays on like how people use language and how people search for things and all of that stuff.
There's also, and this is my favorite and it's the most rare, this is what affiliate marketers look for. This is their whole, like real estate is all about location, location, location. And affiliate marketers are like, can I find a red ocean category with blue ocean competition? So it's like that cannabis company that I was working with.
Yeah.
Tons of cannabis companies. There's tons of established players, but nobody was writing content. Nobody knew how to do SEO. So it's like in MarTech, we're so used to like everybody copying HubSpot's playbook, everybody knowing how to use Ahrefs, and even to an extent ClearScope and stuff like that. So the competition is really high, and the products are all somewhat similar. So that's like red ocean category and red ocean SEO. But there's some spaces, and again, they're super rare. And if you find one, you just got to start printing out content, but nobody's writing. So you can have a domain rating of like 10, 20, 30, and still rank for all these really competitive high intent keywords.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm hearing a few axes here, and I'm just going to think out loud. There's one, when you look at the industry, is it a red or blue ocean? Like live chat software is clearly a red ocean. And then the second axis is there an opportunity to create a blue ocean in terms of differentiation and positioning, which is what Drift did, which just becomes like a product marketing exercise,
Yeah.
not just, but that's really difficult. And the third one is like, if you're in a red ocean, are there like channels or strategies that are blue ocean that maybe are more difficult that people aren't trying to do? So to me, I'm seeing those three buckets. And I think a lot of our clients, they end up actually in a red ocean industry. They don't yet have great positioning, and they need to figure that out. And their goal is like, what blue ocean can we find in terms of content strategy that our competitors aren't doing?
I think that's one thing that we hope to accomplish during the strategy month is finding that I call it like a strategic edge. I don't know if it's necessarily as strong as creating a new category or some sort of a blue ocean motion with their blue ocean motion with their language and verbiage, but we do try to lean on something because I don't know, is there ever a case that if you're in a red ocean that you just want to compete head to head in that red ocean? The only case I could see being made for that is if you have a bigger budget And you just have to have a bigger budget. Like if you went up against HubSpot or Sprout Social or something like that, like, and you tried to basically steal all the same keywords that they were going for, like, I don't know, they've got a head start on you. Their website's stronger. They have a higher domain rating, and they have more just, processes ironed out. They're going to just drive past you. So I think the only way you would want to compete head to head is if you had more money to spend. I don't know.
I think it depends. I think the question comes down to the order that you tackle these things in. But I do think there's value to competing head to head for particularly high volume keywords. I think there's also the element of expectation setting. So depending on, how you deliver the content and how competitive, from first glance from the search engine results page, how competitive your result can be. But at the same time, getting that like SERP real estate, I think there's still value to that. I think there's still like getting in front of your potential customers. So for example, like we're working with a client and we're starting to pursue higher volume keywords with the understanding that they might not get top of page one immediately. It will take time. And if it does take more time, we might have to do a few more optimizations. Like there's just expectation setting within that. But I still think there's value because sometimes, especially with those high volume keywords or super, super red ocean spaces, the value of the SERPs is also like this billboard effect where you just continue to get in front of your readers, 8, 10, 12 times until you like build that memory. It's kind of the same as driving to work and seeing multiple billboards on the way. Might not convert in the first 5 or 6 like clicks, but then it becomes like a commonplace like brand name or something that you like connect to that brand. Like, oh, I've seen them when I've been searching for this type of word. Not the same type of goals we set in terms of like conversions and click-throughs and all of that stuff. But there is, I think, still value to pursuing those, going head to head, depending on industry, depending on budget, all that stuff.
Yeah, it feels like there's a case to be made for that, at least at a point in somebody's like trajectory. I would maybe say if you're earlier stage and going head to head against Marketo and you're trying to rank for marketing automation,
timing matters.
You should probably index on more direct response stuff. Just like if you're a startup and you're buying billboards, you're probably going to go out of business.
Yeah, definitely timing, maturity. That's why I said budget. And there's also a sense of like how much effort and like time can you put into this type of content? Because it's not a one and done. This is not a one-way street. So it's a matter of like content maintenance, maintaining hygiene. If you're going to be writing these large posts competing for 5-figure search volumes, like you have to keep your eye on it. And it's kind of this ongoing project. You can't just post and pray. So.
I think that can kind of sway you in different directions too. If a lot of your traffic is reliant on 1 or 2 head keywords that you rank for, there's volatility in those SERPs, and often content and SEO teams are gold on traffic.
Right.
With the guardrails that you should have relevant traffic, but you're really gold on traffic. So you drop for that ranking, all of a sudden you've got 30% less traffic quarter over quarter, and now you're incentivized to go after more of those billboard keywords when you could have actually been pinning down 50, 20. 200 search volume terms that actually drive conversions. So I think it can be a challenge with regards to how you use data in retrospect, because you want that chart to go up and to the right.
Right.
And if you maybe hit some of those keywords too early without the understanding that you should also lay out a basket, a portfolio of content, I think you can fight battles that aren't going to win the war, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think if I were to think about how we approach building a strategy for clients, it's sort of like, hey, we always ask, what are the 3 to 5 topics you want your company or brand to be known for? And typically those end up being head terms like, oh, we want to be known for e-commerce marketing or something that they would be competing with Shopify, HubSpot, or some other big company on. And we're like, okay, great. That's helpful. We can probably try to create some content and start ranking for those things. Probably not going to rank anytime soon, but we use that as a seed to find I guess what we're referring to like blue ocean opportunities, where it's maybe lower search volume, lower keyword difficulty, higher conversion potential that people just aren't looking at yet. And we're like, whoa, this is actually a really good opportunity. And we expectation set like probably not going to get a ton of traffic, but it's going to be the traffic you want reading your stuff that these other companies haven't even written anything about or are just writing shitty content about. And then for the head keywords that they want to go after, like let's say it's e-commerce marketing, it might be like, hey, this is going to take a long time to rank. And also, this is probably not going to be very qualified traffic, like what you both are saying, and just setting the expectation so that it's kind of going to building out that portfolio you're talking about, Alex, where those are sort of bets. Like we probably won't rank number one for those very competitive keywords. We can get you to like position 9 or 10, but then these other keywords like that make up the bulk of the portfolio are going to be not sure bets, but you're going to have an easier time ranking and getting that traffic to your website.